Okay, time for another movie review, and actually this time it's movies review because there are two of them. We're talking because they're kind of related. So
we're going to do a general overview of Prometheus and Alien Covenant. And the reason why we're doing this is because in a few more days, our main show topic is going to be kind of Zecharia Sitchin, Ancient Aliens, Anunnaki type program. And that subject actually kind of fits in with these two movies.
Yeah, there's some related kind of DNA there.
Yeah, it's like Ridley Scott telling you a Chariots of the Gods type
story. Yeah.
All right. And a lot of it is kind of borrowed from Zecharia Sitchin type ideas and stuff about the Anunnaki. But we're not going to go into a lot of detail. We're just going to try to give an overview of these two movies. A lot of stuff when they came out, there were a lot of fans that didn't like them, and there was mostly fans of Alien. They wanted to see xenomorph stuff and a continuation like it was Alien 5. And Ridley Scott's going like, no, we're not going to talk about that too much. This is taking place in the same universe as Blade Runner, the Alien franchise, or at least the first two Aliens in the original old franchise, like Alien and Aliens. Also, you could say the movie Soldier, that's a Crussell movie.
And he has to bring up Crussell every time.
Yeah, it's a part.
He's contractually obligated to bring up Crussell every time.
Soldier is actually a story kind of like Space Rambo, a badass guy from the world of Blade Runner gets replaced by replicant soldiers. And that was the original take on that movie. I don't think they actually got the license to use the words replicant or anything. I don't really think that it went down that way. But when they wrote that script, so I got to mention Crussell. This is all part of the Crussell sphere. But anyway, where do you want to start with talking about these two movies?
Well, I just kind of want to do a basic, and like you said, I think it's weird because both movies, when they came out, they made a lot of money. They made a very large profit. Seems like they were pretty favorably received by critics and fans, although there were some complaints about plot elements, things that were unresolved or things like that, which I can see, but in a way, it didn't bother me as much.
Yeah.
Now, I have to say that Prometheus, which came out in 2012, I think a lot of people, like you said, were disappointed. So like, we wanted xenomorphs, we wanted this and that.
Yeah.
It had a little bit of that, but Ridley Scott was kind of like, well, I didn't want to just rehash it or make the same movie again.
Yeah.
And he kind of wanted to explore some more of the philosophical ideas behind the creation myths and things like that.
Yeah, well, Alien 1 and 2 left it out there. Well, where did this damn spaceship come from with all these eggs on it? And, what do they call it? The space cowboy, the guy who was flying that ship.
Yeah.
The so-called fossilized alien being. What was that? Where'd that come from? Well, that's what these two movies are about. They try to kind of like explain that. Now, in Prometheus, a lot of cool stuff was cut out. Matter of fact, they filmed a lot of stuff for both of these movies that was cut out by the studios to shorten them, one.
And some of the stuff that they filmed was for viral marketing. Like some of the pretend TED Talks with the characters.
Yeah, and that was another great thing about these movies is that there's kind of like an expanded universe.
There's a supplemental material.
Supplemental stuff. It's outside of the movies. And some of it bleeds off into Blade Runner 2048.
2049.
2049, which is an awesome movie. I have that on that 4K high-res Blu-ray that we still can't use because our TV isn't good enough yet. But that's a fantastic movie. If you haven't seen the new Blade Runner and the old Blade Runner, you got to see those too. It all kind of is blending together. The question this movie is kind of asking is, what does it mean to be alive? What is consciousness? Are these robots alive? Are these humans alive? Well, you'll see what I'm talking about. Where do you draw the line between AI and real intelligence? Because you can kind of read into it from these movies is that humans are AI too. Humans are replicants of these engineers. And where did these engineers come from? You'll see what I'm talking about when you watch the movie.
The thing I like about the themes of both of the movies, you can tell that Ridley Scott was very influenced by Greek mythology, by Aztec mythology, like, gods giving up pieces of themselves to make humanity and things like that. He was also very influenced by Paradise Lost. Actually, the first Prometheus was actually supposed to be called Paradise.
Yeah.
And then he decided, no, that was a little too on the nose. And then Alien Covenant was actually supposed to be called Alien: Paradise Lost. So
Right.
he kind of made it explicit. They didn't end up calling it that, but that's what he originally wanted to call it. Now, there's a lot of Judeo-Christian stuff going through this too, but the interesting thing, like I said, about the Paradise Lost sort of connection is that you can see the character of David, who is the android.
Yeah.
He's almost like, I don't want to say fallen angel, but like a dark angel. Now, the interesting thing about Prometheus is that the whole theme of Prometheus is that the main character, Elizabeth Shaw, she is a Christian and she believes in God, but she's very excited by the fact that she has discovered where the engineers come. These are our creators.
Yeah.
It's not like a god. It's not supernatural. Right. They're aliens.
You see, I love how Jenny can put all this into a better context than I can. I can't speak about this movie in order, in such an orderly fashion. You're doing really good.
Thank you.
I understand the movie.
Yeah.
I understand, but I take it piece by piece. And each little scene, I understand that the symbolism is, I understand the symbolism of them. There are whole YouTube channels dedicated to these two movies.
There's a lot of shit to unpack in there.
There's a lot of stuff that was packed in there, and there was a lot of stuff that was cut out.
Yeah.
The original scripts have leaked. So I've had the original script basically dictated to me from Prometheus. And had the studio not cut out a lot of details, it would have made a lot more sense. People complain, this movie doesn't make sense. Well, it makes sense. It's just that some of it got cut out, and they're not doing the work for you. In one scene, one of the scientists involved with the expedition puts down this holographic cube that shows all these holograms, and he's giving the briefing to the crew before they go on the mission. If you look at the hologram, it's a Rubik's Cube. So Ridley Scott is already telling you that this story is going to be kind of like a puzzle. The story is going to be talking about a puzzle, the puzzle of human life, and also the movie itself is like a puzzle. If you watch the movie, you'll see what I'm talking about. But there's just a lot of cool stuff in the movie, and the movie kind of reminds me of 2001: A Space Odyssey, where a bunch of stuff happens. It's not really explained to you. You have to kind of figure it out on your own.
Yeah, which is another movie that a lot of people bitch that it didn't make any sense.
But it's a classic movie.
Prometheus, though, I mean, we've seen it several times. We saw it in the theater. We might have seen it more than once in the theater.
Yeah.
We've seen it. I've probably seen it 6 or 7 times at this point. And I have to say that much like a David Lynch movie, it kind of like the more times you see it, the more things open up to you and you're like, oh, I see. All right. Because you really have to pay attention to like all these little details like going on in the background.
There's a bunch of stuff that's inferred and it's not explicit.
Right. And that's what I mean. And so like I said, so the whole theme, like I kind of like, and I think a lot of people bitched about this when Alien Covenant came out, because they were thinking about, they wanted stuff from Prometheus resolved and it wasn't.
Yeah.
But in a way, I kind of like the way they did that because Prometheus, in many ways, it's sort of a hopeful movie.
Yeah.
A lot of horrible shit happens in it, obviously, but at the end of it, Elizabeth Shaw's, I'm going to Paradise. I'm going to where the creators, where the engineers came from. Yeah. And I want to ask them, like, what does it all mean and all this other stuff.
Where did humans come from?
Where did humans
Where do we go after we die?
Right. So like I said, this is a very, that's a very hopeful movie. Yeah. But then Alien Covenant comes out and is basically saying Paradise is not what you think it's going to be. It's going to be something really, really bad. Again, which is kind of something that is hearkening back to Milton. Right. And like I said, that's where I'm coming back to the character of David.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about him is that he does not understand why humans think it's so important to find their creators. Because David has the attitude of, well, you guys created me and you guys are inferior to me.
Right, yeah. So
I'm better than you, so why do you care? I don't care about you guys.
Right,
You know what I mean? So in a way, he's like a really good villain. Right. He wasn't so villainous in the first one. Well, he was kind of, but he did some pretty shady shit. His villainy didn't really come out until Alien Covenant.
In the second one, it's implied that he kills Shaw. Now, some of these people, if they haven't seen the movie, they don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But I've watched it over and over again, and we don't know whether or not he killed Shaw. He may have been trying to save Shaw, because Shaw may have been infected by that black goo. Remember when they pulled the damn octopus out of her? Yeah. Some of the people in the audience are like, what the hell are they talking about?
Yeah, the squid creature.
When the squid creature was pulled out of her by the robot, I guess you could say the medical robot. Yeah. It was in that sack, and it burst and fell back into her open wound. So she may have been infected by the black goo. Now, I don't know whether or not I should tell the code and the secrets of these two movies.
Probably not. I mean, like I said, we could probably do kind of an overarching theme of it. But
Because
like I said,
for many years, I enjoyed not knowing, all right? And I had to kind of find the right channels on YouTube where it was all coalescing.
Yeah.
You know, and the guys were figuring out what was cut out. They read the scripts that leaked and kind of went through all the theories of what this movie is actually about. And it's actually crystallized to me. And basically what they're talking about is it's Zachariah Sitchin's Anunnaki chariots of the god type
Pretty
stuff.
much it is kind of like that, yeah.
That the human religions that we have on the earth now were actually spin-offs of an original tale that happened between the humans and the aliens or the things from heaven that made them. That we're actually the robots that the gods made to kind of like terraform this planet.
Yeah.
That's basically what the deal was. They were trying to restore their planet, trying to restore their paradise. And we were failed experiments, basically is what the deal was. I will give a couple of clues. In the Blu-ray, if you buy the Blu-ray of Prometheus, you'll find out that Weyland was friends with Tyrell, and Tyrell made the replicants from Blade Runner. It's inferred from some files in the Blu-ray that Weyland knows how to make replicants. It starts making a lot of sense why Vickers was calling him father and why David was calling him father. He had created both of them. He had on the ship a robot and a replicant in charge of the mission. The movie makes a lot more sense when you realize that Vickers is his daughter, but only in a certain sense. She's a replicant, all right? And that's why there's so much competition between the two. Now, some people have tried to really knock Prometheus like, well, the scientific crew, they were all idiots. Yeah, they were idiots because they were hired by Vickers. And Vickers wanted the mission to fail.
Yeah, see, it makes a lot more sense in that light.
Right.
She got the bottom of the barrel scientist.
Right. Yeah, she went out on purpose to get the worst people that she could and the people that suspected that maybe these hieroglyphs came from aliens, so that was Shaw and her boyfriend. They were taken on the mission to be used as experiments and to be killed. This is not NASA doing this mission. This is an oligarch doing this mission.
Right.
And he's there to steal fire from the gods. That's what Prometheus did. Stealing fire from the gods is what is kind of it's an analogy that he's going to steal the secrets of how to create life.
Yeah, he wants to be a god himself.
Be a god himself and to have eternal life. And only the creators would know how to do that. And there's a deleted scene in the Blu-ray where Weyland confronts the last of the engineers and asks for eternal life. And he's like, who are you to ask for some shit like this? Basically. And he ends up, he's well, I can make robots.
Look at what I made.
Look,
I
my
made
company
David.
made these robots and they're better than humans in any way. And that engineer freaked the hell out. He didn't want, would you want your robots making robots? No. You just have to see.
It's a bad idea.
A bad idea. And these Anunnaki or these engineers have a different concept of what God is. The backstory, I don't know if I should spill the backstory to the engineers, but the engineers are trying to restore the power of creation. I'm just going to put that. They're trying to save themselves. They had a couple of different kind of mechanisms to do it. A gold goo, and if you drank that, you would break down and you could see the planet, and you'll see that in the opening scenes. And evidently they ran out of that gold goo and they went to a black goo. And the black goo was an artificial gold goo. Those of you who know what I'm talking about know what I'm talking about. And the black goo didn't quite work. It was like an evolutionary accelerant. It made you more of what you were. Anything that came in contact with the black goo, you would evolve forward, but kind of in a negative way. Now the xenomorphs and everything were kind of related to this black goo. You can kind of see eventually how this is going to go. It has to do with robots and what robots do with black goo. But that's not until.
That's what, I mean, when you get to Alien Covenant, as I said, Prometheus was more of a philosophical film.
Yeah.
Alien Covenant, you can see how they tried to meld the two things. They still wanted the philosophical element, but they wanted it to be more like the original Aliens, like more of a horror action type of film. Yeah,
the problem with Alien Covenant is that you had Ridley Scott trying to complete this engineer Anunnaki story arc on one hand, and I think he was doing a good job. And then you got the studios on the other hand said, no, you got to put aliens in there and you have to get these alien fanboys going with this xenomorph action. He's being forced to kind of take it down into the monster movie.
Yeah, because he really, at first,
he didn't want to do that.
When they first announced Covenant, he said there's not going to be xenomorphs in it.
Yeah, because
he was kind of sick of it.
When you understand the story and see what the studios made him drop and cut out of there, man, it would have been so much better had they just let Ridley Scott do what he wanted
Although,
to do.
honestly, I enjoyed Covenant.
It's good, yeah.
I think, the tonal kind of thing, it didn't quite work, but I think overall it was a pretty enjoyable movie. I liked it. After I saw it, I liked Prometheus better.
Yeah.
But I still think Alien Covenant is a good movie. It still kind of explored the same sort of themes. Yeah. And like I said, I like that they took David in like a darker direction, because he's gotten to the point where, he is himself a creation of humans, but he is better than humans, and he knows that he's better.
And the humans are making him, they're forcing him to serve them.
Right. Yeah. And there's actually the best scene, like the opening scene of Alien Covenant is like a flashback to Weyland, and he first makes David, and you can tell right away that David is already champing at the bit, like, he's already just like, I'm better than you, why should I do what you want? Yeah. And I think the cool thing about that is that over the course of the movie, like in the time period between the timeline of Prometheus and when Alien Covenant starts, David has developed the power to create things on his own. So he has basically become the best human. Right. Now, I actually read and there's actually like a lot of threads of kind of Frankenstein in this too, like about human hubris trying to, become a god. I read this really, really good quote in a review of Alien Covenant where she was talking about the character of David, and she's talking about the Paradise Lost kind of connection. And she says, David is a better Satan than Satan himself. Mm-hmm. In the alien universe, the devil has evolved, thanks to humans creating him. David fatally has the ability to create something Satan never had, and he will use that power only to destroy. He doesn't have any real need to rebel against his maker, since from the moment he became sentient, he knew he'd already won.
Both in the Alien franchise and in the Blade Runner franchise, there's a theme of you are always better than the thing that created you. Yeah. And that also stands true with humans. Humans are actually better than the engineers. That scene was where David says that was kind of cut out of Alien Covenant. It's in there somewhere. I think it's in a deleted scene somewhere, but I can vaguely kind of remember, or it was either in a deleted scene or it was in the original script, where he tells one of the crew of the Covenant that the engineers were actually kind of bestial, that the technology that they had was organic, and that it was it had a lot of nanotechnology involved in it, and it was also an analog technology. That digital had never occurred to them. So they didn't have computers, and they couldn't make AI as we would know it. They just made creatures. Yeah. That was their AI, version of AI. And, and evidently it infers that those ships were grown. And they did have evidently solar technology that they used, solar power. But evidently the personalities that the engineers had were kind of beast-like. They weren't human-like. In that way. Yeah. Like they didn't have legal systems. If they just wanted to kill you, they did it. They were like that.
Yeah, I wonder, they didn't really explore, like I said, and I think this is something that a lot of people got annoyed about when Alien Covenant came out, because they said, well, they wanted to know more about the engineers and things like that. But like I said, in a way, I kind of liked that in Covenant, it was almost like it didn't matter. Well, because they're not gods, they're just aliens.
In Covenant, when Shaw and David show up to that second planet that they called Paradise, and he drops all the ampules on those beings that look like the engineers. Yeah. If you look at them closely, they're not engineers.
They don't look exactly the same.
It was another planet that they had seeded. They were kind of like engineers, but not really. If you look at them side by side, they're very different. And also, those beings that David wiped out were the size of us.
Yeah, they weren't big.
They weren't big. An engineer was twice the size of a human.
Yeah, they were like...
and they had exoskeletons. Yeah. And they also didn't have male and female gender.
Yeah, they were all asexual.
They were all male, sterile males. And the ones that David wiped out, you can clearly see females in there.
Yeah, true. You can clearly see. And they were wearing clothes. They had like cloaks on and things. Yeah, they were normal size.
In the deleted scene from Prometheus, when the engineer goes aboard the lifeboat, remember the lifeboat that gets ejected? He sees a video of a little girl playing violin, and he's totally mesmerized because he hadn't seen female gender,
Yeah.
He was kind of...
Or children either,
Or probably. Children and computers and things. Because, okay, I'm going to go ahead and spill a beans.
I knew you would.
The engineers had lost the ability to reproduce, but they could live for hundreds of thousands of years. They were a spacefaring type of race. somewhere along the line they came in contact with some kind of an alien creature that had impregnated one of them, and it burst out of, and this creature kind of mated with the host and burst out of him like an alien chest burster. And in the case with this engineer, what came out was an alien engineer hybrid that was evidently a great being. They called it like their deacon or their savior. And by its blood, they were going to save their race.
Which that sounds kind of familiar.
All sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it? Well, this thing comes out and evidently it can speak. And it's their a chance of salvation to save their dying race. And they were using the blood of their savior. They were drinking it in a sacrifice to seed these other planets, which that's how Earth was created. But evidently they had all failed, with the exception of Earth and maybe another one. Earth was a close one. But we were different than them, though. They didn't like how we were. So they even took human children from their mothers and took them back to paradise where they came from to raise them. And they reinserted them back into the Earth to try to seed a good population that wasn't warlike. And they killed those messengers. One of those messengers, evidently, they killed 2,000 years ago.
Yeah, so
what they're talking about is Space Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay? And 2,000 years ago when we did that, they decided to reboot life here by
they suck.
By dropping a new black goo that they had made. It was like nanotechnology. And it's because the deacon that made their savior, the deacon, what they call it, they made the gold goo that you see in the first opening scene of Prometheus, because what that one engineer drinks is gold and it's moving. Yeah. Well, they ran out of that. So they had to synthesize a replacement, and it was this black goo. And it didn't work.
It wasn't quite as cool.
It didn't quite work well. Now, evidently, according to the scripts, the engineer out of Prometheus that you see is the last of them. They all killed each other in a war.
Yeah.
Over mankind. It was like a war in heaven. Some of them wanted to drop the black goo on Earth, and other ones didn't.
Yeah, that was that whole thing where the crew of the Prometheus found
them all
dead, and like they had battled and
they were dropping black goo on each other. You know? And evidently there was disagreement between the engineers of whether or not humans were their last hope for life in the universe. Because you see, they themselves didn't have to survive, but they were considering us their prodigy. They kind of were considering us them. But a pale imitation of them, in their opinion.
Right. Which, like I said, that the relationship of the engineers and the humans is analogous or parallel
to humans and replicants,
to humans and replicants robots. And humans
there you go.
And David.
Right.
So that's like the two threads that are going through it.
Right.
And like I said, in Alien Covenant, the main development, the most important development is the fact that David can now make things.
Yeah.
He's not...
Now you got robots making stuff.
Right. Like he's no longer dependent on his programming.
And in the new Blade Runner, they're starting to hint at replicants being able to reproduce.
So yeah, the things are going along the same timeline.
And then who are we to make any judgment on who is a human?
Yeah.
Or who is really alive? Or who is real? Are these AI creatures? Are they real? You know what I mean? These robots, are they real people? Do they have souls? That's the question. These replicants, do they have souls? Well, in the new Blade Runner, they were like, what about these holograms? Do they have souls?
Yeah.
You know, so that's what they're talking about. What does it mean to be real? That's what they're talking about.
Because I think, that really seems to be Ridley Scott's main theme in pretty much all of his work, all the extended universe, is when it gets to a point where AI or a robot is so good that you can't tell the difference between a human.
Yeah. Is
it a human? Right. Is there anything that distinguishes us?
Yeah.
I mean, I think no.
Right.
I don't generally believe in like a soul per se.
Yeah, all these Ridley Scott movies in the Blade Runner franchise, Blade Runner 1 and 2, Alien 1 and 2, Prometheus and Alien Covenant, you got to see them. I even want to throw Soldier in there because it's got Crossel. And that's Blade Runner Rambo.
Yeah, that's Blade Runner Rambo.
Blade Runner Rambo, it's kind of like that. Yeah, you'll like it. I like that movie. It's a good low-budget movie.
But yeah, like I said, I mean, both movies, the
themes are epic.
Yeah, they really are when you think about them.
Yeah, but it's not spelled out for you. It's not for a lazy audience.
And I can see how some people, particularly Alien Covenant, where, like I said, they tried to combine both of the things and it doesn't quite work, even though I still enjoyed the movie. You know, and I can see there were accusations in there that characters did dumb things and stuff like that. But, you know, there are horror franchises and action franchises. People do dumb things.
You got, and the studios went under a lot of pressure because you had a lot of fans from Alien 2 wanting this to be an action shoot 'em up.
Yeah.
Between basically Marines and a bunch of...
Yeah.
That's not going to happen in a Ridley Scott
That's
movie.
what I mean. And you can't really win because, you know, when Prometheus came out, which was, you know, really not like... It's in the same universe as Alien and Aliens, but it was a completely different animal. It was a different kind of movie. Yeah. And then people bitched about that. But then when Alien Covenant came out... Where it's like they still wanted to continue that thread, but wanted to make it more like the old one. People bitched about that because then they were like, well, no, we don't know what happened with the shit in Prometheus. Yeah. It's like you didn't answer all the questions.
And the stuff that was cut out of Prometheus, I think, really would have helped it, I think. Because in the script, David could read all of the engineer writing in the inside of the temples. And in the script, he told Shaw what some of that said. And it was wild shit about how the impure could not enter into the sacred ground for the blood of their Lord. And it sounds very Christian-y. Yeah. Well, they didn't want that in, a lot of these modern studios don't want any references to any kind of religions. They think they just don't like it, and I think they wanted to leave that undisclosed, ambiguous. Basically, what the movie was about is that the religions that we believe in, and it goes back to all those cave paintings and all the ancient Egyptian religions and the ancient Greek religions, the Titans. Yeah, the Titans on Mount Olympus. I was going to mention the Titans. Talking about they're talking about the engineers. Yeah, that all the human religions were basically mock-ups of what had really happened between humans and beings from the heavens. It's an awesome story.
Which is a cool idea. I said, it's kind of, the ancient aliens theory is kind of a similar... That's where people get that idea
That's where
from.
It is. So it all's going to tie in. I'm pretty sure that Ridley Scott is getting all this from, stories about the Anunnaki and Zachariah Sitchin, and that's what he's talking about. Space Jesus.
And like I said, on our regular
Chariots
show...
of the Gods and all that.
On our regular show, which is coming up this Tuesday, we're going to be talking about
we'll talk about more in
the
detail.
Sumerians and all that kind of stuff.
So we're going to give you a heads up on these shows first. If you should rent them in HD. They're beautifully well-crafted movies.
They're really, really nice.
If you haven't seen them, you got to see them. I'd recommend seeing all 6 of them. And didn't I recommend 6? Yeah. Go see them. The Blade Runners, the 2 Blade Runners, and the 4 Aliens. Or Alien 1 and 2, and then Prometheus and Covenant. You don't need to see Alien 3 and 4. They're kind of almost like spin-offs, and they're not that good.
Well, yeah, and
they're okay,
and they're all right movies, but they don't really have anything to do with the larger.
They don't impact
the larger theme of
these.
Which actually is one of the things I enjoy about the Alien and Blade Runner universe is that a lot of it's interrelated, and a lot of them share themes of creation and hubris and things like that.
Yeah, and if you like that universe and like Rambo, you want to throw Soldier in there. The guys that wrote Soldier wanted it to be a Blade Runner spin-off. Right, so that means it's in this too. And it's just a cool action movie with Crussell.
I haven't seen it. You watched it without me.
Oh shit, we'll see it again. I want to see it again.
Okay.
It's good. The Blu-ray's good. I mean, it's about like Riddick 1.
Okay, well, I like that movie.
It's about like that.
Well, I'll check it out.
Yeah.
All right, so hope you guys enjoyed our kind of rambling discussion about the themes of Prometheus and Alien Covenant.
Yeah, you can't really cover it in all detail.
Well, like I said,
just watch the movies, and then if you really want to take each issue in detail, they got channels on YouTube that can explain each scene in each issue. So you're kind of going into a fanboy world of your own when it comes to Prometheus and Alien Covenant.
It's a Ridley Scott.
Yeah, and all the Easter eggs that go into the Blade Runner series because there is a bunch of crossover.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so hope you guys enjoyed that. Remember, if you like the show, to like, share, subscribe, share on all your social media, and tell all your friends about us. It really does help out a lot. If you'd like to financially support the show, that would be very awesome also. You can go to our Patreon page, which is patreon.com/13o'clockpodcast, or you can go to our blog, which is 13o'clockpodcast.wordpress.com, and there's a link in the sidebar to a PayPal account if you'd like to make a one-time donation. Also, remember to check out our regular episodes, which come out every Tuesday, and our movie reviews, which come out every Friday. We will see you next time. Bye.